వినిపిస్తుంది. హరి ఓం. ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं चैव ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। We'll continue from here. The previous verse was the two types of eternity, that is perennial eternity and absolute eternity. I will read this one more time. Absolute eternity is something that has nothing to do with time and is called Paramarthika Nityatva, whereas perennial eternity is that which keeps on coming with every creation, every kalpa, and is called Pravaha Nityatva. The Veda has Pravaha Nityatva, being non-eternal in the sense of timelessness. Although the knowledge that is the Veda keeps on coming with every creation, it is still time-bound. Thus, the Veda is considered to be eternal in the perennial sense only. Moreover, why had this perennial eternal knowledge not been given to Arjuna before? Krishna had not held it back all along due to a lack of enthusiasm, and only today became inspired to talk to Arjuna about it. The only reason Krishna did not teach him earlier was that until today, Arjuna had not asked for this knowledge. As soon as Arjuna asked for it, Krishna teaches him. although they were in the middle of the battlefield. Those who study the Gita usually take some months to study the second and third chapters in which Krishna unfolded the knowledge. But Krishna taught to Arjuna in one day according to Vyasa's presentation. As Krishna himself says, Te adya proktaha. It was told to you today. After all, it takes only 3 hours to repeat the entire Gita. We must remember also that it is not Krishna who is actually talking in this particular verse. It is Vyasa. There was no necessity for Krishna to put this knowledge into verse form. Vyasa put Krishna's message in the form of verses as part of Mahabharata. Being informed enough about the Veda, Vyasa was qualified to present its essence in the Gita. He did not need to have Krishna say anything. Even if Krishna were not there, we would still read Vyasa's Gita, just as we read his Brahma Sutras. Vyasa himself is good enough for us to read because we are reading the Veda, not Krishna or some philosopher like Kant, Schopenhauer, or Hegel. There is no Krishna philosophy. There is only the Veda, the knowledge that comes down to us from the rishis. People often say, having been given some good advice, why did you not tell me this before? I have spent so many sleepless nights over it. In fact, one may not be capable of seeing the wisdom of the advice until sleepless nights have been spent. Arjuna may have felt like chastising Krishna for not giving him this knowledge in the days when they were in the forest and had so much time to sit and talk. Instead, here they were on the battlefield, caught between the two forces and surrounded by all the noise, dust, and confusion of war horses, chariots, elephants, infantry, conches, drums, and orders being bellowed everywhere. Definitely not a very conducive time or place for talking about Vedanta, about the infinite. You should talk about the infinite only when you have infinite time, when you can sit leisurely on the bank of a river with nothing else to do, or when you are retired and no longer have to go to the office. The Pandavas had just returned from 13 years of exile, 12 of which had been spent in the forest. Surely, Arjuna must have thought that that would have been the right time for Krishna to teach him. He could have gained this knowledge in those 12 years. 12 years is a good period of time for any knowledge to take place. Even Jupiter, whose influence is said to be important in gaining knowledge, takes 12 years to come back to a given house in the zodiac. It is said that in order to master any discipline of knowledge, you must stay with it for 12 years. Arjuna had had just such a period of time handed to him on a platter. He had had a God-sent banishment. That was when Krishna should have said to him, please sit down and listen to me. I have something to tell you. You grieve for those who should not be grieved for. Ashocyan anvashochastvam, and so on. Self-knowledge is the greatest secret. Is the voice clear or is it?
Yes, Ramraj, it's very clear.
Yes, clear.
Okay, fine. I just wondered because I'm not sure about the net connection here. Self-knowledge is the greatest secret. In response to Arjuna's unspoken question about why Krishna did not teach him when the surroundings were more conducive, Krishna says in this verse that this particular knowledge is a secret, rahasya, and not an ordinary secret at that. The word Upanishad also has taken on the meaning of secret, self-knowledge being the ultimate secret among all secrets. Uttamam rahasyam. Even if you share it with someone 100 times, that person may still ask the question, what is Atma? There are two types of secrets. One is a secret that is kept away from you. not because it is something that you cannot understand, but because it is kept away from your perception, from your ears and eyes. You are kept from coming to know of it by something other than yourself. The other type of secret is seen by you. It is available to be known by you, but still you do not understand. Therefore, it remains Rahasya. The Vedanta Rahasya is both. For want of Vedanta, the truth of yourself remains a secret. But then, even when Vedanta is available, it remains a secret for want of preparedness on the part of the listener. The reality revealed by Vedanta is not easy to understand by those who are conditioned into thinking that they are useless and limited, a conviction that is often confirmed by everyone around them. If a person who thinks in this way is told that he or she is Satya, Jnana, Ananta, Sarvakarana, Purna, and so on, the person will become totally confused. He or she will have a new problem. If I am Satya, why do I feel so useless? I must be even more useless than I thought. This new problem is also brought about because the Atma is not easy to understand. This knowledge can be misunderstood as well, which is why it was generally kept away from the majority of people. Moreover, even if it is made available, it is not understood. For example, those who study the Veda and are able to recite it, including the Upanishads, do not usually understand what they are reciting. For such people, the words revealing the truth are available, but the knowledge thereof, but not the knowledge thereof. Therefore, it is Uttama Rahasya, the greatest secret. Thus, either due to its non-availability or due to non-understanding, the knowledge remains Uttama Rahasya, the ultimate secret. This knowledge should only be given to one who wants to know. In Arjuna's case, the knowledge was not given to him because Krishna knew that Arjuna was not interested in it before. Even if he had taught him, the knowledge would not have meant anything to Arjuna. Such knowledge should only be given to someone who wants to know. Unless a person recognizes that there is a problem, it is useless to offer a solution. We can give the person a hint by saying that there is a fundamental problem that he or she does not recognize. However, only when the person recognizes that there is a problem is the solution of any interest to him or her. Arjuna also had to recognize that there was a problem. He had been brought up in a certain way at a time when Vyasa and Shuka were household names. Such people were always walking in and out of the palaces where Arjuna, his brothers, and their cousins were growing up. Naturally, then, Arjuna had had many opportunities to hear about this knowledge, but as a prince, he was concerned with acquiring the skills, accomplishments, and laurels of a prince, all of which were good and necessary also. Even during his 12-year exile, Arjuna's main concern was the acquisition and maintenance of missiles and various skills in order to win back the kingdom. For Arjuna, this was a one-pointed commitment, ekagrata, and obsession. Therefore, he had neither the time nor the interest to pursue this knowledge. Now, in the battlefield, all his other interests melted away. Even his accomplishments appeared useless to him because he saw they were all meant only for destruction. Arjuna had lived a life of dharma. He had the necessary viveka to be able to distinguish between right and wrong. He also had compassion, because of which, when he saw how destructive the battle would be, he no longer wanted to fight. He was like a boxer who trains himself for the world championship. For 6 months, every day, all day, he runs, eats the proper food, exercises, works out with punching bags, and wears out several sparring partners as well. He also spends $500,000 to achieve his end. On the day when the bout is to take place, He climbs into the ring, applauded by the enthusiastic fans that have come to watch. Then, looking at his opponent, he suddenly becomes sympathetic and walks out. This may be the proper thing to do, but his opponent is not going to see it this way. Instead, he will brag. The poor fellow took one look at me and ran away. Everyone else, including his own manager, will say the same thing, and his opponent will become the champion by default. This was Arjuna's problem exactly. He did not want to fight, not out of fear, but out of compassion. Naturally, then, he had to decide whether he should fight or not. He was cornered, so to speak, and had to make a decision. An objective opinion is always helpful. Whenever you have to make a decision that involves the consideration of several factors, it is always helpful to have the opinion of someone else who is not involved in the issue. The mind of such a person will very likely be more objective than yours with reference to the particular issue you are attempting to resolve. Krishna was someone Arjuna could talk. That's why I think kings had ministers, because they could not, in order to get that little bit of objectivity. Having seen the meaninglessness of all his previous pursuits and victories, Arjuna wanted to know the meaning of life, not the meaning of victory. What am I going to gain out of this victory? Why should I gain anything out of anything? Is a question about life itself, and was the essence of Arjuna's question. And now that Arjuna had asked the question, Krishna could then give him the knowledge. For the asking, this knowledge may be given, but it does have to be asked for. This was how it was kept away from the people. Vedanta was almost unheard of until recently. Only during the past 100 years, it has been more widely available, and many of the translations that are presently in circulation contain erroneous concepts, resulting in further confusion about Vedanta. Vedanta is not a common subject matter. It is kept away from people either because it is so easily misunderstood or because people are not interested in it. In fact, it is better to listen to Vedanta without any background whatsoever than to have already been initiated into it wrongly. Otherwise, you have to recast your understanding, which is not easy and can be very painful as well. Should Vedanta be taught to everyone? Deliberately keeping Vedanta away from people can be a problem because it prevents them from knowing it is there. Still, a person who has this knowledge may have a conflict about talking publicly about Vedanta because the people who come to listen may not really want to know or even need to know. They may come to the talk thinking they're going to get something out of it without really knowing what is going to be taught. Moreover, if they already know what is being taught, they do not need to come. Whether it will help those who do not know is anyone's guess. Also, the teaching can be very easily misconstrued by those who are not ready, as evidenced by the kinds of questions that are asked and the comments made after the teaching has taken place. In such cases, it seems to be a waste, not only with reference to the people themselves, but also in terms of the erroneous notions they will pass on to those to whom they talk in turn. This is why many teachers talk only to those who come to them and not to the public. This is how with time, this knowledge has become kind of diluted, has become mistransmitted, has been sent, has become, should I say, has become twisted. However, if no one talks to the public, how are people going to know? There is a saying in Tamil that is very appropriate here. In India, the month before the northern solstice begins is considered to be a very important time for prayers, and other religious activities. During this period, one person of a particular family is appointed to go to each house in several villages between 4 and 5 every morning and blow a conch. Then, during the following month, which is harvest time, he will go to everyone and collect enough rice to last him for the whole year. Although this person is supposed to blow the conch at each house just before dawn, he has so many villages to cover that he must begin in the first village at 11 at night. He then has to walk to all the other villages, which are approximately 1 hour apart. So he arrives at the other villages at 12 midnight, at 1 in the morning, and so on. In this way, he covers them all, reaching the last village at 4:30 or 5 in the morning. If you ask him, why did you start the night before? He will reply, my job is to blow the conch and I blow it. The dawn will come when it comes. Because of this practice, blowing the conch is a common expression in some South Indian districts. The practice itself is a kind of prayer considered to be very important for keeping away all undesirable events such as drought, disease, and so on, so that the village will have plenty and prosperity. Similarly, a teacher of Vedanta blows the conch. The dawn of knowledge will come when it comes. In some cases, the conch may have been blown a little earlier than necessary, perhaps. However, when a conflict arises in the teacher's mind, he or she has only to say, just blow the conch. Otherwise, a person who has this knowledge has to sit quietly in one place and talk only to those who come and ask to be taught. Really speaking, this is the thing to be done rather than giving this knowledge to anyone and everyone, irrespective of the fact whether the person is ready or not. This is because this knowledge is not like any other knowledge. It is Uttama Rahasya and is best given to those who ask for it. Therefore, Arjuna, Krishna might have said, I did keep this knowledge away from you. However, do not blame me. I kept it away from you only because you did not ask for it. Then Arjuna's next question would have been, all right, but why did you choose to teach me today? In anticipation of such a question, Krishna says here, because you said you were my student and you asked me to teach you. Once Krishna recognized Arjuna as a student, as a devotee, Arjuna may have felt that he had lost a friend, although he had gained a teacher. This often happens in self-arranged and mutually consented marriages. A husband or wife is gained and a friend is lost. Until marriage, the other person is a good friend. But as soon as the marriage takes place, the friendship goes. This is a most unfortunate situation because friendship between husband and wife is to be maintained. To reassure Arjuna that their friendship is not lost, Krishna tells him, not only are you my devotee, Bhakta, you are also my friend, Sakha. Thus, Arjuna was doubly blessed. He not only gained a teacher, but he could continue to talk to Krishna as a friend. When Krishna says, you are my friend, me Sakha asi, he does so as Mr. Krishna, not as Ishwara, the Lord. After all, their friendship was not an age-old one. It could be counted in years. But when Krishna says, you are my devotee, Bhaktosi me, he's talking as Ishwara as well as Guru. On this point, Arjuna asks a question to clear up a doubt, one that is in the minds of many people. Arjuna had heard that Krishna was Bhagavan, Vishnu himself. He certainly knew that Krishna possessed great powers because he had seen Krishna demonstrate his powers. Perhaps Arjuna, having been told that Krishna was Vishnu, wanted to hear it straight from Krishna himself. In his commentary, Shankara says that Arjuna's question was simply to remove the doubts in the minds of those who do not recognize Krishna as the Lord. Thus Arjuna asks, Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha kathame tadvijaniya tvamadau proktavaniti. Arjuna Uvacha said, Bhavataha, your Janma birth, aparam, not very long ago, Vivasvataha of Vivaswan, Janma birth, param, a long time ago, Tvam you, Adav in the beginning, Proktavan told, Iti does, Etat this, Katham, how, Vijaniya, am I to know? Arjuna Uvacha, Bhavatah janma aparam visvatah janma param tvam adav proktavan iti etat katham vijaniyam. So Arjuna said, your birth was not so long ago, whereas Vivaswan's birth was a long time ago. How am I to know that you told this to Vivaswan in the beginning? In the first verse of the 4th chapter, Krishna had said that he gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, which seems to be a contradiction since Krishna lived at a much later time than Vivaswan. Therefore, Arjuna says, Aparam bhavatah janma, your birth was later. Arjuna knew the exact date of Krishna's birth. They were contemporaries. There was no doubt in Arjuna's mind that Krishna had been born at a given time and place. In the prison where his father Vasudeva and his mother Devaki were being held. All of this Arjuna knew very well. Vivaswan, on the other hand, was born long, long ago, at the time of creation itself. Thus Arjuna said, Param Janma Vivasvataha. Vivaswan's birth was long before your birth. How then, Krishna, can you say that you taught Vivaswan? This is Arjuna's question. What a question! Arjuna is as much as saying, you could not have taught Vivaswan Krishna. You were not even there. By asking this question, Arjuna seemed not to know that Krishna was Ishwara, the Lord. Therefore, in his commentary, Shankara explains that when Krishna says that he was the one who taught Vivaswan, he is not talking as Mr. Krishna, the person Arjuna knew as his contemporary. Rather, Krishna is talking as the one who had initiated this knowledge, who can only be Ishwara. Whether Krishna is Ishwara or is only presented as Ishwara by Vyasa does not really matter to us. All we need to know is that the entire dialogue, that is the Gita, is between Krishna as Ishwara and Arjuna, a Jiva, an individual. Because the dialogue is between Ishwara and Jiva, the Gita is called as Ishwara Jiva Samvada. If Krishna is an Avatara, an incarnation of the Lord himself, then Krishna as Ishwara is literally true. And the dialogue can be taken to be between Krishna the Avatara and Arjuna the Jiva. Otherwise, the Gita can simply be taken as a story, Akhyayika, with the understanding that what Vyasa was presenting was the knowledge of the Veda in the form of a dialogue between the Lord and an individual. Here, Arjuna wants to know how Mr. Krishna, a person who was born at a given time, could say that he was the one who taught Vivaswan. Shankara believes that Arjuna knew that Krishna was Ishvara. Otherwise, before the battle, when he was given the choice of having Krishna's army or Krishna himself on his side, he would not have chosen Krishna. Either you take me as one who is unarmed, as one who is not going to fight, or you take my entire army, is the choice Krishna had given Arjuna. If Arjuna had known Krishna only as Mr. Krishna, he would not have chosen him, thinking that Krishna would have been just one more mouth to feed in wartime. But Arjuna did choose Krishna, and because of this, Shankara says that Arjuna knew all about Krishna, but wanted to hear it from Krishna himself for his own satisfaction and for the sake of those who do not know. Thus, Arjuna asks the question that necessitated the commencement of the 4th chapter. Otherwise, the Gita would have been over, the knowledge having already been given, and the teaching concluded by Krishna with the praise of this knowledge at the end of the 3rd chapter. Krishna had completed the teaching once before in the 2nd chapter, but seems to have expected a question from Arjuna. If Arjuna had not asked his question then, Krishna, being the excellent teacher he was, would have recognized the last verse of the 2nd chapter as a good exit point. However, Arjuna did ask a question. He asked, if knowledge is superior to action, why are you asking me to do this terrible action? And in response, Krishna begins to teach again. Having concluded the teaching once again in the 3rd chapter, Krishna praises the knowledge as ancient. Then Arjuna asks this question and Krishna begins to answer. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna dhanyaham veda sarvani natvam vedha parantapa. Shri Bhagavan Vacha said, Arjuna, O Arjuna, may for me, tavacha and for you, bahuni me, bahuni many, janmani births, vyatitani have passed, aham I, tani them, sarvani all, vedani, tvam you, na vedha do not know, parantapa, O scorcher of force. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Arjuna, me tavacha bahuni janmani vyatitani aham tani sarvani veda tvam na vedha parantapa. Many births, Sri Bhagavan said, many births have passed for me and you, O Arjuna. I know them all, whereas you do not know, O scorcher of foes. In the previous verse, Arjuna questioned how Krishna could have taught Vivaswan in the beginning when Krishna himself was not yet born. This verse is Krishna's response to Arjuna's question. Krishna says that both he and Arjuna had had many births before their present ones. The only difference being that Krishna could remember all of his births and Arjuna could not. Here, Bhagavan Krishna is talking as Ishwara alone. He says, as Ishwara, I have had many births and I can remember them all. And as a Jiva, Arjuna, you also have had many births, but you do not remember them. Arjuna did not know his previous births because being a Jiva, he was naturally conditioned by an Antakarana, a mind which itself was born out of past actions, dharma, adharma, punya, papa. His own karma brought his body into being along with a limited mind and senses. Naturally then, Arjuna's power to know, Jnana Shakti, was limited, and because of this, he could not understand what Krishna means by saying that he had taught Vivaswan. Thus, Krishna explains that the only difference between them was that Arjuna was born of karma and he was not. Moreover, Krishna was aware of this fact, while Arjuna was not. What Krishna says amounts to, I am ever enlightened, Nitya Buddha, and therefore I am never bound at any time in any way whatsoever, even when I assume a body. You are also Nitya Buddha, Arjuna, but you do not know it because you have ignorance, Avarana. I am always free from bondage, karma, the body, birth, and so on, whereas you are a Jiva for the time being. Therefore, you do not know this fact about yourself. My power to know is not covered by ignorance, whereas yours is. All this you must know, and it is for the sake of gaining this knowledge that you have been given an Antakarana. In this way, Krishna tells Arjuna that he knew everything he had done before taking this particular birth. This was why he could say that he had given the knowledge to Vivaswan. Then the question of Krishna's birth itself came up. Even though the event called birth generally is for the Jiva alone. The nature of the Jiva is to be born repeatedly. In other words, birth is continuous for the Jiva. Because the Jiva looks upon himself as a doer, a karta, he is subject to karma and therefore rebirth. The Jiva does not recognize his true nature, his Swarupa Atma. And this non-recognition is the very basis for his status as a Jiva, Jivatva. Thus, the status of Jiva is superimposed upon the Atma, the self. The Jiva is one who is the doer, Karta, and the enjoyer, Bhokta. Now, you are a doer. Now, you are an enjoyer. And this goes on and on. Jivatva implies a sense of limitation, and therefore, there is a desire to overcome the sense of limitation. Wherever there is a desire or want, there is karma and its result, karma phala. Karma phala is twofold. The seen result, drishta phala, and the unseen result, adrishta phala. The adrishta phala can fructify either in this life or later. Because of the adrishta karma phala that is accrued to the doer, the person is reborn. Just 1 second. Again, the person performs karma for which there will be unseen results, and again, the person will be born. This is what is meant by samsara, and it is only for the jiva. Ishwara, on the other hand, has no doership, no kartritva. Although Ishwara creates, sustains, and dissolves the creation, he has no doership because he has no ignorance. For him, the capacity to create is only a power, and wielding this power, he creates everything. Knowing that he is not a doer, and therefore being free from doership, Ishvara does not have enjoyership, phala bhoktritva either, nor does he receive the results of action that cause him to be born again. Since dharma, adharma, punya, papa, and karma phala are not there for Ishvara, he cannot be born at all, in fact. Krishna's response to Arjuna's question could only have added to his confusion. If they both had previous births, and Krishna knew about this, then he must be Ishvara. But if he was Ishvara, how could he have been born, since Ishvara can never be born? Krishna explains all this to Arjuna in the next few verses. Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanamishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. Ajaha api san, even though being one who is unborn, avyaya atma san, being one whose knowledge does not wane, bhutanam, of all living beings, Ishwaraha api san, also being the Lord, swam, my own, prakritim, prakriti, the material cause for the creation, adhishtaya, wielding, atma mayaya, by my own creative power, sambhavami, I come into being. Even though being one who is unborn, one whose knowledge does not wane, and also being the Lord of all living beings, still wielding my own Prakriti, I as though come into being by my own creative power. We see from this verse that Krishna's birth is a very peculiar birth indeed. Being one who is never born, he as though comes into being. Also, Krishna describes himself here as one whose power to know does not wane or decline, as Avyayatma, meaning one for whom there is no state of ignorance or delusion. We can also say that being one who is never born, he is not subject to death either. Furthermore, he is the Lord of all beings, the one who made the entire creation for the enjoyment of all. And the one who introduced and wields all the laws and who is therefore not bound by them. He is also the Karma Phala Data, the giver of the fruits of action, giver of fruits of all actions. Ishwara is the cause for the entire creation, both the subtle world, Sukshma Prapancha, and the physical world, Sthula Prapancha. Maya, Prakriti, which is non-separate from Ishvara, becomes the material cause for this creation. And wielding this Maya, his Shakti, he as though comes into being in the form of this creation. Since Krishna as Ishvara is on one side of Maya and Arjuna was on the other side. Arjuna could not see him as he was. This is like a magician who always keeps the audience in front so that they see only the magic, not the Maya, the trick. That's so wonderful. And of course, the magician never comes under the spell of his or her own magic. Otherwise, there would be no magician.
Can you please read the paragraph again, please?
Yeah. Ishvara is the cause for the entire creation, both the subtle world, Sukshma Prapancha, and the physical world, Sthula Prapancha. Maya, Prakriti, which is non-separate from Ishvara, becomes the material cause for this creation. And wielding this Maya, his Shakti, he as though comes into being in the form of this creation. Since Krishna as Ishvara is on one side of Maya and Arjuna was on the other side, Arjuna could not see him as he was. This is like a magician who always keeps the audience in front so that they see only the magic, not the Maya, the trick. And of course, the magician never comes under the spell of his or her own magic. Otherwise, there would be no magician. This explains all those, the verses in chapter 9, which says, I am in all the beings. The beings are all in me, but I'm not in them. This example of the magician is very good. We have to go over that.
And it says Maya Prakriti, which is non-separate from Ishvara. Somehow I had understanding it is his power, but it is not him.
He is both the Nimitta Karana and the Upadana Karana. He is both the material cause and the instrumental cause. He is the knowledge behind the creation as well as the power behind the creation. Both the material cause. Material cause is Maya over there. So, Therefore, just like how the magician, he is both the nimitta karana, the knowledge principle behind the magic trick is the magician. Because you, a jiva, are within Maya itself, you do not wield it, whereas Ishwara does. Therefore, the difference between the jiva and Ishwara is based solely on which side of Maya they are on. Krishna wields the Maya because of which the entire world and its beings exist. And being deluded by this Maya, being under its spell, the spell of ignorance, people do not see the Atma, that is Krishna, Ishwara. While the Jiva does not see the Paramatma, Ishvara has no such problem because he has the Maya under his control. Therefore, the world itself, which is born of Maya, is under his control. The idea being conveyed here is that the Jiva does not know his real nature, Swarupa. This not knowing one's Swarupa is called avidya, ignorance. Whereas, as Ishvara, Krishna can say, as he did here, keeping my Maya under my control, I become one who as though has a body. This is the definition of an Avatara. When it is said that an Avatara is one who comes down, what is meant is that he assumes a body. He as though has a body, as though because he is not lost in the body. In other words, he does not take himself to be the body. A Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated, can also say, I as though have a body, because this person knows the real nature of I, the Atma. To be able to say this requires knowledge, and to acquire this knowledge, one has to be living. This is why the person who has such knowledge is called Jivan Mukta. Living, he is liberated. And before this knowledge takes place, the Jiva comes into this world as a result of the past karma alone. By the force of karma, meaning one's past actions and their results, a physical body along with a mind and senses is created with a parentage and a time and place. And we say the person is born. Such a person is called Jiva. Only by acquiring the knowledge that he or she is Param Brahma can the Jiva be free of the cycle of birth and death and all that goes with it. Knowing thus, the person is free, but the body continues to exist because it is the creation of Ishwara, Ishwara Srishti.
Can you explain this again?
I will read this last paragraph one more time. By the
Yeah.
force of karma, meaning one's past actions and their results, a physical body, along with the mind and senses, is created with a parentage and a time and place. And we say the person is born. Such a person is called Jiva. Only by acquiring the knowledge that he or she is Param Brahma can the Jiva be free of the cycle of birth and death and all that goes with it. Knowing thus, the person is free, but the body continues to exist because it is the creation of Ishwara, Ishwara Srishti. He is actually explaining the Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta is a person who already takes birth as a Jiva because of his past karma. But because he acquires knowledge that he is the Atma, that he is Param Brahma, he is free from the cycle of birth and death. But then the body continues because it is the creation of Ishwara. And it will continue till as long as this prarabdha is there.
Isn't it the other way round that the body goes and Atma continues?
No. This is, they're not talking, they're not eternalizing the physical body here. Here, what we need to understand is he's talking of Jivan Mukta, no? So while living, he's liberated. So he's still
Okay.
living. He's still living in the world, but he's liberated.
Is it the ground? Right? If you get the
Yeah,
Tattva
correct. Aham
and
Brahma.
Aham Brahmasmi,
Correct.
then you will be liberated inside
Correct.
from the cycle of
Mm, samsara.
life and death. That
Correct.
is kind of moksha, right?
It is
Internal
moksha,
moksha.
not kind of moksha. That is moksha.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Omniscience does not require a mind. Thus, Krishna tells Arjuna here that as Ishwara, he keeps the Maya under his control. His powers, the Jnana Shakti, the power to know, the Kriya Shakti, the power to do, and the Ichcha Shakti, the power to desire, are all under his control and are not limited in any way. Since his power to know is without limitation, he does not require an antakarana, a mind to know. Without the mind, he has all knowledge. All knowledge, omniscience, cannot depend upon a given mind because any mind will have some limitation. Furthermore, the mind itself is a creation, and before creating it, the Lord must have knowledge. Therefore, no mind is required by Ishwara. The very Maya itself makes him omniscient. He is called Parameshwara, and this Parameshwara alone becomes the world. This is the Maya, the trick of it all. If we take the magician example here, the magician knows the trick. He has the power, he has the knowledge, the Jnana Shakti he has. He has also the power to do, the Kriya Shakti, and also the Ichcha Shakti. So with all of this, he creates the magic trick, and the audience is sitting spellbound, looking at all the tricks that come out. He's bringing out feathers out of nowhere. He's converting a coin into something else, into a dove. So that is what is happening. That is what Ishwara is doing. That is his Maya. And we're all under the spell of that Maya. So Atma Jnana, in this example of the magician, is to know exactly how the magician does the trick. Then you know there is no delusion there. You know how it is, how it happens, and that is you're liberated. For you, then there is no more Maya, there is no more magic. An understanding of an avatara. In order to understand the Vedic and Puranic literature, one needs to have some understanding of the concept of avatara. In the Bhagavata, Ramayana, and the Mahabharata, Rama, Krishna, and certain others are presented as avatars. Avatara means God incarnate. Because of its significance here, this concept will be analyzed briefly in terms of orders and reality. In general, we can divide the orders of reality into three. One is the absolute reality, Paramarthika, that which is Satya, Jnana, Ananta, Brahma, free from all attributes, and upon which the entire world depends. Then there is the empirical reality, Vyavaharika, which accounts for the world and all that is in it, space, air, fire, water, earth, the sun, moons, and stars, the natural laws, and so on. Included in this order of reality are the various situations that cause joy and sorrow, as well as your physical body, mind, and senses. All means and ends, sadhana and sadhya, also have an empirical reality, some of which are already known to you, and others are revealed by the Veda. There are certain Vedic rituals, for example, that are prescribed for having a child or for going to heaven. The heaven mentioned by the Shastra is considered to be as empirically real as a material object here in this world. Thirdly, there is a purely subjective order of reality, pratibhasika, such as that we experience in a dream. So there are three realities, three orders of realities. One is the paramarthika, which is the absolute reality. Second is the vyavaharika satya, that is the empirical reality. And the third is the pratibhasika, which is a subjective order. Subjective meaning only you, the person who's dreaming, can experiences the dream, not everybody else. You let me know if you want to stop here and do some Manana, because the next thing is subjective reality, objective. I think this we'll do tomorrow. We'll do a bit of Manana on this.
Of course, you might be reading the same subjective reality tomorrow, right? So that might clarify, because I was a little confused. Though it is my dream, are we not dreaming the same dream?
No, that is with respect to the Vyavaharika Satya. If we consider the whole world itself is a dream, right? So that is Vyavaharika Satya. That what you said is fine. We're all dreaming the same dream. But when you go to bed, when you switch off the light and go to bed, there are 10 people sleeping in the same room, for instance. Each one has a dream of his own. And not anyone has the same dream, isn't it? So that person from A, B, C, D to X, Y, Z, each one has a subjective specific dream. So that is what I think is called the Pratibhasika Satya. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe each one perceives it differently. Can
Could
be
be also.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to read this now? I don't mind reading, but I think we'll leave about at least half an hour for Manana to happen.
Manana.
We
Yeah.
can take this up tomorrow. Huh?
Tomorrow. Yeah.
So actually speaking, Krishna finished the teaching of Bhagavad Gita in the first two chapters, in the second and third chapter itself. In fact, the second chapter itself. And the last verse actually sums up the whole, it is like a concluding verse. Esha Brahmi Stitit Partha Nainam Prapya Vibhyati Stitvasya Mantakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mukhyati. That's the last verse of chapter 2. But then Arjuna lands himself into confusion and therefore asks, and starts off the third chapter saying, you say knowledge is important. You're giving so much importance to knowledge, but why are you asking me to do this? So he goes on to teach him once again. But then, since Krishna, I think he mentions in the last verse of chapter 3, he says, this ancient knowledge. So then Arjuna again has this question. When Krishna tells him, I think the first two verses of the fourth chapter, they're supposed to mention the Guru Shishya Sampradaya. That is what we started off yesterday, right? We read that yesterday. We didn't have time for to recap that. The Guru Shishya Sampradaya, you have to mention that either in the beginning of a scripture or at the end of the scripture. And that is what Krishna was doing, saying, I have given this to Vivaswan. Vivaswan gave this to his son Manu. Manu gave it to his son Ikshvaku. And therefore this continued, but with passage of time, it got contaminated. And for me, I didn't quite understand how this contamination happens. But in what we read today, the how it gets contaminated is very clearly mentioned. No? Does anyone remember how does contamination happen?
I think it's said of disturbed minds and or deluded minds, and then they take it wrongly and then they give out wrong.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. It was. I don't remember the exact word.
This was Arjuna's question, but yeah, because see, this knowledge is called the Parama Rahasya, right? Because it is the knowledge of the self. And this is to be given to only those who ask for it. That is why, although 12 years Arjuna was in exile, and there was a lot of time where he could contemplate and all that, Krishna did not give it to him until it was asked. So this knowledge, Parama Rahasya, is given only to those that are in the asking mode. It is not given to all and sundry.
That's very true. A person when asked only then you can talk about this. Yesterday I was so excited to know what the real, I was really confused about the Swadharma part. And when I got the clarity, I was very excited and I wanted to discuss or tell this to someone. And the other person was so blind or deaf. And I was so excited to tell the person this didn't work.
Right.
One is the asking, and the second, which is also, if not more equally important, is the patrata. Somebody will ask, I want to know this, I want to know this, but most of the times in the old system of Gurukula and all that, no, the Guru used to give that kind of knowledge to each Sishya, each disciple, that which as per the Guru's judgment has the patrata. That is, the patra means vessel, no? So whatever kind of capacity that vessel has, the Guru was giving that kind of knowledge. He was checking the patrata of the Sishya. Here, there is a very small story where a Sishya says, I want Brahmagyan, you give me. And the Guru, in all his excitement, he gives him the Brahmagyan. The gist is, the life in everyone is same. And then the Sishya says, sir, the life in that dog, that cat, that elephant, myself, and the king was passing by. The king, the queen, everything is same. The Guru says, yes, it is the same. That's it. This fellow gets only that into his head. And from next day, he starts behaving horribly with people. He used to tell anybody, Are you are equal to that dog only. What is there so great? And this kind of call it arrogance or ignorance, whatever. He lived his life like that, and the whole village started hating him, this disciple. What is this fellow? And he says, no, I'm a Jnani. I know everything. So ऐसा ही चलता गया. Finally, what happened? The disciple became old. He never changed. He became old and he died. Then he went to hell for all that he has done. And he finds the Guru there. Then he says, Guruji, how come you are here? I did. Then he realizes, the disciple, when he went to the doors of hell, really, I did all this nonsense. I took misinterpretation and I did this. Then he says, Guru, why you are here? आप तो ज्ञानी है सच्ची में अंटे तेरे जैसे अज्ञानी को जो अपात्र ज्ञान दे दिया ना, because of that was my biggest sin. That is why they put me also here, बोल के Guru. It may be a joke, but what happens is, this is what happens. Guru will give knowledge to everyone like the patrata. Like if we remember the story of Dronacharya asking all the students, can you see the eye of that bird on the tree? We know all that, no? It's only Arjuna, he says, I can see only the bird and nothing else. Then Drona says, yes, you are the one who can really hit it. And he did not even allow others even to attempt. Because Dronacharya, as the seasoned, experienced Guru, he knew that this fellow can not reach, hit anyway. So he did not allow Yudhishthir, or he didn't allow even Duryodhan, anyone to do it. He said, Karna, okay, release the arrow. And Karna hit the target. Arjuna hit the target. That is why these are the two things I thought I should share. Hari Om.
So, which is why this, when it is given to all and sundry, it might get contaminated. It can get diluted, right? That is why.
Maybe dilution ante Brahmara, maybe it can be the possibility of misuse, the possibility of misunderstanding. And also the diluted means like getting fading away. Like, he taught the sun taught the Manu and all that. So those kind of a transfer of knowledge from one guru to another Sishya and so on. What happened at some point of time, somebody really did not follow it, and people just forgot it, and it got faded away from the minds of people. Even that can happen, right? So actually what Krishna was doing was reviving that, like renewing it. It's like, issuing a revised edition of a textbook that has gone out of print. Through Arjuna, he did that.
Right.
Jai Gurudev, Shloka 3, the two types of eternity, there's a line in the first para that although the knowledge that is the Veda keeps
Just
on
1
coming
second,
with,
1 minute. Yeah, you
Okay.
continue.
so you take out the paragraph, then
Take it up. Is this the one you're talking about?
yeah, the first paragraph, the last line, although the knowledge that is the Veda keeps on coming with every creation, it is still time bound. I was not able to follow why it is time bound, because why it is time bound. I did not follow this thing. Why it is time bound.
The Veda is only a pramana, isn't it? It is only something that indicates, shows the knowledge. The Veda is knowledge actually. It's a revealed knowledge.
Why does it have to be like it will be time bound? Because if the knowledge is there, it would be always there. Or maybe that, like initially they were saying that it has to be kept like a rahasya. Maybe it is referring to that. That is why it is time bound. Or a
See,
I don't know. I don't
the
know this.
in the consciousness, this thing, knowledge is always there, but it is covered with the veils of impurities. And so every time a guru has to come and reveal this knowledge to you, that is why it's called perennial. Because every time it has to be revealed, just like Premji said just now, that this was again one more time that has gone out of print and it was to be revealed again to Arjuna. So he had already revealed it to so many people before Arjuna through the generations. So that is why it is called perennial eternity. The knowledge is there in our consciousness. We are not aware of it because of the impurities in the mind. And therefore it is covered. The Atma is covered. Some guru has to come and give you the knowledge and re-reveal the knowledge to you. Jai Guru.
Hari Om. I think, you're right, Persiji. I also think that this kind of knowledge, particularly this kind of knowledge, the highest knowledge is not like the DIY kit, do it yourself kits, no? Like we buy a package, come home and we assemble things like that ourselves. This is not something like that. It certainly needs someone who can do the proper visleshana and explain the correct thing to the guru. What is this kind of knowledge? When to
Student, you
use,
mean?
how to
Yeah.
use, and how to understand. Yeah, that could be the reason. That is why it requires someone who has to do, because like the example I gave, the guru and his shishya, it is easy for people to either misunderstand or lose their nigraha and put it to wrong use. Like, like the atomic power, if it is in the right person's hand, it does a lot of good to the mankind because it is used only for electric generation, medicine and all that. If it goes into one wrong hand, he will pollute with the same knowledge. He will pollute the entire world with nuclear weapons, not using it for productive purpose. Hari Om.
See, from this point of view, I feel that even for our own personal growth, like during the pandemic, so many of us were stressed out. I lost my siblings and the knowledge was lost to me till Nanaji gave it again, when we did Tattva Bodha and all that. That just like you change your clothes, you change your body also when it becomes weak and depleted. And the soul moves on. So that knowledge was there somewhere in the inner recesses of my mind, but I was overcome by emotion. So this knowledge was revealed to me by Nanaji, and I came out of my sorrow.
बंद कर दीजिएगा ऐसे
Yes, sir.
चिपका दीजिएगा ये मैग्नेट सुन रहे हैं तो इसको लगा दीजिए मैग्नेट सुन रहे हैं तो इसको लगा दीजिए
Yeah. Go ahead, Persiji. I think someone was unmuted.
No, what I was saying is that ourselves also, our own growth sometimes is stunted by some events happening. See, how many of us are still facing sorrowful situations, etc. in our lives? We are not happy. So if we are completely in knowledge, then we would be joyful all the time. That is our real nature, Satchid Ananda. But we have not reached that state. So this knowledge is being revealed by Nanaji to us, and then we are coming out of it. So it has to be, we have to be in knowledge all the time. And that is why it is perennial. It has to be kept on being revealed by somebody.
Yeah,
Till
actually this
probably you
knowledge,
become a Jivan Mukta.
correct. Jivan Mukta is the key. Jivan Mukta. When we are here, that kind of a moksha, that liberation, we will be experiencing and perceiving when we are still here. Not like after we cross 100 years and we go somewhere and there we enjoy. That Jivan Mukta is that state of mind with which we can achieve that state here and now. Like you said, Persiji, the knowledge. Like, again, I'll give a small example. Like in Haridwar, I heard the river Ganga is flowing with a lot of ferocity, right? And people who want to take bath and all that, the authorities, they kept the chains or the fence or something there. Whoever wants to take a dip, hold the chain and then take a dip and come up, so that you will not get washed away. I think it is in Haridwar. I haven't seen it. But why that chain is there? So that in that flow of the fast flow of water, you do not get washed away. In the same way, knowledge is like that chain or the pole to which we, the one hand of the person will be holding that pole, and we take a dip in this samsara, in this worldly affairs, yet we come up unscathed after achieving our purpose. That is, like in this example, after taking the bath and taking a dip in the Ganga, you achieve without getting, you come up without getting washed away, while you are firmly holding on to the pole. In the same way, when we firmly hold on to the knowledge, what happens is all the flows of hits, the ups and downs of the life, they will come, but we will be like that punching doll, which we spoke some time ago. It gets punched, it falls down, but again gets up and stands. In our childhood, we have seen, right? That will happen. Knowledge is going to serve that purpose, so that we do not get washed away in the ferocious flow of the events of the world. This is what I feel, and this is how we have to take knowledge and perceive it as. Hari Om.
Yeah, that's nice. But does it answer Savitaji's question? That her question was, although the knowledge that is the Veda keeps on coming with every creation, it is still time bound. I'm not sure whether
Is it written
Savitaji
somewhere that
indicated.
it is time bound? It's written
Yeah,
somewhere, is it?
Is here, see in this,
In
if you
this
see this
paragraph,
green there, yeah, the first paragraph.
it is still time bound. I don't know. This needs a deeper understanding, but maybe the rules of engagement slightly differ. Maybe I'm just thinking, because when that sentence came up, I'm just thinking in my mind, like the rules of engagement. For example, rules of engagement of war during Treta Yuga, when Rama was punishing Ravana. Ravana was totally broke. His chariot broke. His charioteer died. His entire thing, all his bow and arrow, all broke, and he was standing. Though Ravana was on his chariot and Rama was not having a chariot, still, when Ravana was devoid of all these things, Ram does not kill him. That is, one day before he actually kills Ravana, he still says, Ravana, all your arms are gone. All your weapons are gone. Your chariot is broken. You are damn tired. Okay, I'm not going to do anything to you. Go today, come back tomorrow. Even in Telugu language, there is a very powerful dialogue. Nedu poyi repu rammu. Today you go, come back tomorrow. He doesn't kill him. Those were the rules of engagement in Treta Yuga. Dwapara, when the Mahabharata starts, the war starts on a proper note. But what happens, the way Abhimanyu was killed totally changed the entire face of the game. Even after sunset, wars continued during a few days of those 18 days war. Actually, sunrise to sunset, at sunset, war has to stop. Those were the rules of engagement in the Mahabharata time. But that also changed. That was when the effects of Kali were already getting shown. Probably that is what it means. The way you apply knowledge and all that may slightly change. I don't know. I may be right or wrong. This is what I could observe. Hari Om.
Even when we read the detailed summary, that time it was explained that some other group of people had different thought process on certain stanzas and in their beliefs. So the misinterpretation of the knowledge also was also there, according to Shankaracharya. So If it is eternal, then it would be the same throughout. But it has not been. It has not been the same. Down the line, people have interpreted the knowledge in their own way. So that is why
Yeah,
it has to be given again and again.
yeah,
And that is why
probably
it
you're
is
right.
not eternal. It is perennial. It is not eternal because of this reason.
So the
In a
knowledge is
Dayanand
same.
Saraswati summary, we did it.
So probably because though the knowledge is same, people will start playing their own, giving their own gyan and misinterpret. So the original form, original explanation should come once again, so that again it starts from ground zero. Probably that is what it means. Hari Om.
Yeah, and from our own personal growth point of view also, how we are applying this knowledge. See, if there is any calamity or something like tsunami happening or anything happening and I'm told to go there, I can work with a very cool mind. But when my son suffered an accident, I was praying through the night from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock to Gurudev to heal him fast. So definitely I am aware that though I was not disturbed, I was reaching out to Gurudev, praying to him. Whereas somebody in our group said that whatever is the best for him should happen to him. So I don't know that way of using that knowledge, how we are overpowered. I'm looking at it from my own personal growth point of view. That where am I still lacking? What I need to do? How I need to improve? And definitely in this group, our sharing has been phenomenal and it is making a difference to our lives. Only we need to implement this knowledge and see where we are at and where we need to reach still further in our goal.
Brahmanaji, the last paragraph on the 19th page and the first paragraph on the 20th page, if you read, there is a little explanation, I feel.
Where is that?
19th last paragraph and 20th first paragraph.
Although this knowledge remains in the royal families with sages, the people do not necessarily receive it. This point is addressed by Shankara in his introduction to this verse. He says that the knowledge is as though lost when it reaches people whose minds are scattered. Durlaban ajitendriyan prapya nashtam yogam. Thus it is lost, nashta, due to the condition of the people, not because it is not available. It reaches people who have no inner strength. Durbalaha, people who are not together, whose minds are scattered. Ajitendriya. Reaching such people, this yoga also gets scattered, meaning that the knowledge has no hold on them. Therefore, it is as though lost. Yeah, I think, yeah, thanks, Mrinal, for bringing in this, being alert to this paragraph. I think this also explains why it gets diluted or lost down the line. And therefore, that could also explain why it is time bound. Right, Savita ji, I think,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. He was also like thinking like if you know you don't have the patrata to receive the knowledge, then maybe for that they have used this word that it is time bound. It has to be given in a precise time and to the precise person, and then they just did the like it's just like acting a block, like you don't give further knowledge, so then it is again time bound. Thinking that this way.
And even with respect to Arjuna, although he heard all about all the 18 chapters and he says, Nashto moha smritir labdva, my delusion is gone and I will do whatever you tell me. He said that and he went on to fight the war. At the end of the war, he again, he kind of he was overcome when after Abhimanyu's death. And he tells Krishna, he says, you told me something very nice, beautiful knowledge. Can you please repeat it to me? So unless that patrata, unless that antakarana is really kind of prepared, the knowledge will not dawn. And until that knowledge dawns, we don't become Jivan Muktas. So the whole, even in our group, each one of us may have a different level of understanding. It all depends on how prepared our minds are, isn't it? It is like how clean your mirror is, that much reflection you can see your face in, or whatever objects you project in the mirror. If the mirror
Yeah,
is
that
still
is what
having
is
a
the
lot of dust,
patrata.
correct,
How big a vessel you are. So what is your capacity to hold?
correct.
Otherwise, no, it will just flow out and get wasted. That is what.
And for that, what Gurudev says, to increase your patrata in order to get blessings and this, knowledge itself is a big blessing, is your sadhana and seva. Seva is what actually increases your patrata. Sadhana, being steadfast in your sadhana, not just sadhana. Sadhana is just to increase your energy. What are you going to do with all that energy that increases in your body and mind? You direct that into seva. So this beautiful cycle of seva and sadhana increases your patrata and increases, it helps in cleaning up your mirror, gets cleaner and cleaner. And your little vessel becomes bigger and bigger. So then you can ultimately hold the whole ocean. That is when that Jivan Mukta happens. So we have all the tools with us. We are actually very, very fortunate. We all have the tools. We only have to use them in a right way, in the right manner, effectively.
Yeah, having knowledge and application of knowledge. In one sentence, we all know that tomato is a fruit, actually, not a vegetable. But that is knowledge. But wisdom is, just because tomato is a fruit, nobody puts it in the fruit salad. That is wisdom. Hari Om.
And I particularly also like that example of blowing the conch. When you when you look at how Gurudev is giving knowledge, it is like he's blowing the conch, because there may be some people who are prepared, there may be some people who are not prepared. At least they are being informed about it. That is, I just want to read that part one more time.
But I felt little confusing over here. It is being done before the time, and right, it has to be done between certain time, right? So time is also, it has to be right time.
Correct. That time here is your preparedness. No. See, one thing is you wait for the student to come and ask you, and then you teach. That is the right time. But this blowing the conch example, even before the person, because this person has to go from village to village. It is only at one particular village, maybe the last village he reaches at the most appropriate time. All the other villages, he's reaching at, say, 1 o'clock in the night, 2 o'clock in the night, and keeps blowing the conch. So that is before the time. Wait, I said, let me just read that part. See, this person blowing the conch is a common expression. Similarly, a teacher of Vedanta blows the conch. The dawn of knowledge will come when it comes. In some cases, the conch may have been blown a little earlier than necessary. However, when a conflict arises in the teacher's mind, he or she has only to say, just blow the conch. Otherwise, a person who has this knowledge has to sit quietly in one place and talk only to those who come and ask to be taught. Really speaking, this is the thing to be done rather than giving this knowledge to anyone and everyone. Yeah, this is ideally speaking, but what Gurudev is doing is totally out of compassion. He's giving it to all of us. He's actually not sitting quietly, and that is why when someone asked him, why do you have to go and visit all other places? People who want to know this knowledge will come to you. He says, no, there are people waiting for me in all parts of the world. I have to go. I have to go and give this knowledge. That's why he started off his Love Moves the World tour, and he keeps traveling so much. So he's doing it completely out of compassion, only to awaken. You never know what will happen. Even that little samskara of listening to him, his speeches could make a difference to that person. So that is why even Dr. Prabhakar Rao says earlier, apparently, a person had to learn Bhastrika. I mean, the student had to work and serve in the ashram for 10 long years, and he would only be taught the Bhastrika. That was the tradition earlier. Only if the student is in the right frame, that is the time when the teacher would teach. Now we're giving everything on a platter. So much is being given to us out of his love and compassion. We have to understand how precious it is. That is why when we conduct the Sudarshan Kriya, we say, be grateful for this precious knowledge. It is Uttama Rahasya actually. It's not just another breathing technique. So bringing in that honor and respect and being grateful for all of this actually brings in that that sanctity in it. And we will value it. No, otherwise there is no value for it. Yeah. Does anyone want to share anything? Arjuna was a very fortunate student, because he was not just a bhakta according to Krishna. He says, you're not just my bhakta. That was with Krishna as Ishwara, in the role of Ishwara, whereas you're also my friend, and that was as a contemporary, as Mr. Krishna, the one who was born in Dwarak in Mathura. So he was both his friend as well as his devotee.
I think even the way Nana prepared us for this wonderful knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, he first took Tattva Bodha and Atma Bodha. And then the level of our understanding of Bhagavad Gita went up. Then again, before starting Bhagavad Gita, he did some amount of knowledge sharing from Mahabharata. So we would understand the basics as to where it is starting from, Bhagavad Gita. Like it was after Bhishma was laid low. So, so wonderfully, this knowledge we can imbibe and absorb is because what was done earlier. And then even before chapter 18, he brought in Bhajo Govindam. And that was also such an eye-opener, the knowledge from that.
Right.
So our assimilation of the knowledge is much better the way Nanaji took us through by the earlier introductions to Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, at the right time giving us Bhajo Govindam. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I totally agree.
when we look back, see, so many places Bhagavad Gita is chanted and they discuss the meaning of it and all. But the way Nana led us through is a very, very, very different and special. Thank you so much.
Actually, there were a lot of takeaways from this, the last few pages that we read today. Arjuna did not know his previous births because being a Jiva, he was naturally conditioned by an Antakarana, a mind, which itself was born out of past actions, dharma, punya and papa. His own karma brought his body into being along with limited mind and senses. Naturally then, Arjuna's power to know, Jnana Shakti, was limited. And because of this, he could not understand what Krishna means by saying that he had taught Vivaswan. Whereas Krishna was coming from the standpoint of Ishwara, he is Sarva Shaktiman. He has the Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and the Kriya Shakti. And he was wielding the power of Maya, which is nothing but his own power. So he knew all about his previous births. Whereas Arjuna is covered by the Avarana. Krishna was, as Ishwara, is not covered by avidya. So he is all-knowing, all-pervading, omniscience. He is timelessness. So all that is there. That therefore he knew all about his births. And there was a beautiful thing about the Avatara. I think we'll do that tomorrow one more time, about how the Avatara happens.
Yeah, please, because there is a question in my mind. Though avatars, I mean, the Krishna was born not out of karmas, then why had he had to go through so much of pain in his life?
I don't think he went through pain. There were only instances, and I think it was more to do with the other person. More often you see, you remember all his, in Bhagavatam, the mortar to which his mother ties him up, Yashoda ties him, and he moves through those two trees and the trees fall off. They transform into, sorry, they transform into devatas, into yakshas also, right? So I think it is more to redeem people of their own prarabdha, that it as though seems that Krishna is going through pain. It is not he is going through pain. So it is an as though thing.
Yeah, same with our lives, I feel. As though somebody is troubling me to redeem my karmas.
Correct.
Krishna, Jai Gurudev, Krishna himself is a magician. So he knows all this, what pain he would have had. So that's...
Exactly. So we'll read this part a bit tomorrow one more time about the Avatara and the magician, the magic trick, and then we'll go forward.
Hari Om Brahmaraji, Rajima's few session also, if we can, I'm sorry to interfere, but if we can have some synopsis of...
We'll do that, Bela. That's there in my mind. And again, I just want to request everyone, because I think we've discussed this before, about the advanced course with Percy Ji. Right now, I think he's conducting an advanced course in a rural area somewhere in Maharashtra, I think. But he's open to conducting an online advanced course. But if we can all give our willingness and our availability, I think we can plan, and he can then announce a course. I know we will be in different time zones, but maybe if we can put our minds together. Today is 26th of Jan. How about having it after Shivratri?
Perfect.
Because I
Perfect.
think I myself be traveling to the ashram for Shivratri. So maybe after Shivratri we will have, or closer to, I'm being a little selfish here. I'm not sure when we will have the Mandal Vatika TTP. That might be before or after Shivratri. I'm not sure. So I don't want those dates clashing with this online advanced course with Percy G. So tentatively, we'll have it around maybe end February, or why not in the new year? Ugadi is on March 22nd. I don't want to put it off to too long, but maybe around that time,
26,
around the New Year's
26
time.
February, 26 February is a Sunday, and Gurudev is in Mumbai. So that weekend is difficult because Pasibhaiya will also be busy, no?
Correct. So we leave all that. No, we
3
don't.
days.
March
First,
seems good.
March.
Yeah.
We'll first have to take dates from Percy G when he is free, and then we can put in our preferred dates. I think that's better to work out that way. So let us know.
March anytime is okay with me.
March anytime, perfect. So
Yeah.
let's have it around Ugadi time. Ugadi is March 22nd. So maybe around that time, maybe we can tentatively finalize. You will need,
Sure,
it's going to
yeah.
be a 3-day course.
Yeah, 17, 18, 19.
Yes, yes. Online courses are 3 days.
Online courses are 3 days, right?
Yes.
So March 17th, 18th, 19th, huh? Yeah.
Is it a Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, it is Friday,
Yes.
Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So tentatively, let's have it around that. Or second set of dates could be 24th, 25th, 26th of March.
Okay.
Mm.
Just put it on the WhatsApp group so that.
Yeah, what
then,
I will do later, I'm
Yeah.
actually traveling today, early tomorrow morning, I'll be traveling. One other thing is, Rinal, will you be able to share screen tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Because I think I will be traveling and I wouldn't be able to attend the session. So
Yeah,
you can start, and only thing is it will not get onto the YouTube. What do we do? Can you record it on the computer? I'll connect with you, Rinal. You can take the
Okay,
host.
sure.
You record it on your computer and then you can
Okay.
share it with me, recording.
Sure.
Huh?
Okay.
Because my automatic recording is stopped working. It's not working now. So tomorrow you take care of the session.
Okay.
And regarding these dates, I'll create a Google link and send it across. We'll see what 2 dates are preferred by most people, and we can zero down on that. That's what we'll do.
One more request, if in today's group itself, today's session can be put. I missed the beginning because I was in the morning session. So,
you mean
because
the
I won't have
recording?
YouTube and all that to see it again.
You will not have YouTube because this is only there in the YouTube.
No, you put it in the group now, then I'll connect with my dongle or something and then see it. Just put the link there in the today's this thing.
I'll post the link. Yeah.
I don't have to search for it.
No problem. I'll do that.
Is my voice coming clear from here?
Yeah. It's coming very clear.
Okay. I've connected my dongle and brought it
okay.
along with me.
Okay.
Where are you now?
I'm off between Panvel and Pain side, Raigad district. It's a rural area. It's a Swami Samartha ashram, old people's home. They have a big meditation hall. We have tied up with them. And yeah.
We can actually, Brahmaraji can sit with Pasivaya and plan the sessions also. Like that additional pranayam and mudras and bandhas.
I think we leave it to him. No, let him take it. We'll all be there. That's all. Doing the advanced course with him is fine. It'll be good to do that. I will let him let him decide the flow and all that. Yeah. So we'll close today's session.
Only one thing, just remind me to teach you all Surya Yoga, therapeutic yoga, and this Brahma's mudras, whatever, the notes, I will pass it on. I somehow sometimes tend to forget.
Yeah.
You'll have to.
Yeah, it is better if all of us we go through the notes first, so that it will be easy for us to go through the sessions with.
After I get back on 29th, I will search for the notes and then send it across to Dr. Brahma.
Okay. Madhuriji, in the meantime, if you have any suggestions, please pass them on to Percy ji. What all you have in mind, please pass it on.
Yeah, I have worked very closely with Sangeeta Didi, and I will share the things the way she takes it. Like she has incorporated Kathopanishad and all different things. I will talk to him, and whichever way he wants to lead us, it is his this thing.
Fine.
Pertaining to the Bhagavad Gita group and whatever we have gone through last 1 year, he is the best person to lead us in the proper way through the advanced program. I would say let us keep this AMP especially for this group, because outside people, they may not understand what is all like in between. Percy Bhaiya will be if
I
at
don't
all.
know. I will leave even that to him. We'll
No, I think my notes are very clear, and whatever will be repeated will be all that is there in PowerPoint presentations. I have not covered the chakras with you. Even that was there. I passed it on to Dr. Brahma, and that we will take up during the advanced course. It's a very simple way of my explaining it, so that the point goes home.
No, the
So
question
let
is,
other people join.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, we'll not restrict it only to this group.
Yeah.
Because he's spending his quality time there. So let maximum people benefit. We don't. My opinion is we should not be restricting it only to this group. So whoever is, because let whoever is willing to come for the advanced course, let them come. So that
Only
way,
my thing is that I have tried to give it a better seva angle. Most of my life I've been a seva warrior. So from the point on the trust of doing seva is so essential. To me, it is very essential. A lot of people are duty bound with their families, but going out in society and doing seva is very, very important. That is when the focus shifts and you develop vairagya. The qualities of vairagya come out. So all my talks are oriented that way.
It will be a privilege and a blessing for us.
Thank you.
True. And even that yoga thing, no, the way you explain so many yoga postures or the methodology, little bit from Bihar School of Yoga also. So even if we do it Sangeeta Didi gives us the instruction manual before the course starts about the food. She gives the suggestions. It's up to us how we want to go
Riji,
about
can I just request, sorry to intervene, we'll close the close the session now.
Yeah.
You can maybe connect with Percy ji one-on-one and then take this up.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.